Yes, now it's time to get that money. I love the music here on Arizona Daily Mix. We want to get our money right and tight so we can retire comfortably. Joining me to talk about that is financial advisor. This is Goetz, and he's also the author of Climbing the Retirement Mountain. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Thanks for being here. This is valuable information. I have to tell you, I read 2 of your chapters over the weekend.
Good.
Chapter 2 and Chapter 6, because those are the ones that appealed to me right off the bat. And I have to say, for retirement information, it was interesting and it was an easy read. So good job on that.
Good, thank you.
So tell me a little bit about how people actually get started to climb this mountain so they can have a comfortable return on the other end when they're going into retirement.
That's right. Well, I think the most important thing to remember is starting early, right? Time is your best investment strategy, and setting some goals on how much you're going to actually put away.
Right.
Paying yourself first is one of the easiest concepts to remember. It's usually a good rule of thumb to try to put away at least 10% of your income and have that just go automatically so you don't have to remember to do it. So if your employer offers a 401k plan, look into that. If you don't have a 401k plan, then you can set up your own Roth IRA if you're eligible.
Now, some of the things you were talking about is putting away that 10%. That nest egg, that emergency money that you need to put away, how critical is that? Because some people don't even think about that as an offshoot.
That's right. One of the important things to do when you're working with your planner is to do a budget. Go on online bill pay or look and see what's going out on a monthly basis, and then at least keep about 6 months worth of those reserves in savings accounts or bank deposit accounts. And that way, once you've paid off your credit cards, you've got 6 months worth of savings there to cover expenses in case you're incapacitated for a period of time, or you're sick, or you lose your job. Then you've got that little buffer, and then try to save at least 10% of your income going forward. For older savers, maybe getting started later, you want to start saving at least 15% or more because you don't have that time anymore.
Now, is that easy to do? Because you have in Chapter 2, the one I read, it says anything can happen at any time. And you have to prepare for those unexpected, issues that pop up in your life. So how do you do that, especially if you're pretty much on a fixed income as it is?
Well, if you're on a fixed income, then you want to make sure that you've got most of the money probably in places that are safe and secure, depending on your risk tolerance, because you can't afford to live through another 2008 type cycle, especially if somebody is retired already and they're taking money out of their portfolio or their savings. They don't have that time to make it back if they lose 40 or 50% in a market decline.
Now, you talk about the 4%, saying goodbye to the 4% rule, and this is something that's been standard for a long time with a lot of people. When they do plan out their 401k, it's always just that 4%, but we need to do even more. And why is the 4% not good? If that's a starting point for some people.
Well, historically, the 4% drawdown rule or 4% distribution rule would allow you to maintain the overall portfolio over time so that you weren't actually depleting the assets. You were pretty much living on the income and interest that it was generating. What's happened over the last 17 years is that we've had 2 major market declines, and the overall gain in the S&P, not including dividends, was only around 3. So if you were drawing down 4% and you had market moves of down 30 or 40% mixed in there, then you may be sitting on half the amount of money that you had before. So you have to really be careful.
How do you identify any missed opportunities to have that tax-free income? How does someone go about that?
Well, one of the big missed opportunities is that most 401k plans nowadays offer a Roth 401k option, which means that that money that you're saving, that 10%, you can actually choose to pay the tax now while rates are relatively low historically, and have the money go into the Roth 401k. And then it grows tax deferred over the number of working years, and then it's all tax-free when you take it out. I use the farming example. Would you rather pay taxes on the seed right now this year and let the harvest be all tax-free? Or would you rather get a tax deduction on the seed, put it in the regular 401k, the traditional, and then have the harvest, all the money you saved in the future, be taxable at rates you can't control?
That makes a lot of sense. That's a good analogy.
Thank you.
It helps us to open up people's eyes, because sometimes you got to paint a picture, because a lot of people don't even think of their retirement because they're living in the moment.
That's right.
So how do we get that mindset, especially for millennials now? Is there like a different language you have to speak to get the millennials on board, or is it the same information, same knowledge?
Well, millennials really have the best advantage because they're young and they have that time. So even if they start saving 3 or 4 or 5% up front, and you start increasing the amount of savings into your 401k maybe by 1% every quarter or every 6 months, that way it's a slow change and you don't notice it. The other thing millennials have to understand is demographics.
Right.
People are living longer than ever. The average life expectancy for a 65-year-old woman is 85. So it's a matter of knowing, and that's only the 50% mark.
Okay.
Almost 25% of people 65 will make it into their 90s.
Well, I'm living to be 100, okay?
Okay,
so I'm going to be saving lots of money.
Good, good.
So let's talk about how people can get more information on this book, because like I said, I read the 2 chapters that appealed to me right off the bat, but just by some of the titles that you have here, very valuable information. So where can people get the book? Because it's very beneficial, and it is an easy read.
Well, it's available on Amazon.com. Climbing the Retirement Mountain is what you'll search for. It's also available if you come in and meet with me and go through my 3-step retirement roadmap process, which includes drafting an income plan for you for retirement and a savings plan, doing a risk and fee analysis on what you have currently to see if we can save you money on fees, and then reviewing your tax return and your estate plan. So I have a variety of copies of the book at my office, and I give them out complimentary.
Well, thank you so much for all this complimentary information here on Arizona Daily Mix. We appreciate you, Calvin. You have a great start to your week.